I think that on paper, like we are like you're everything that I need, but like I don't think that the attraction is fully there yet for me. To be perfectly honest.
Wait, what? Bro, you married yesterday. You're standing in a suit, ring on your finger, national television audience watching, and you're already saying you're not attracted to her? This isn't just brutal, it's broken thinking, right? It's what sometimes, unfortunately, this is the same mindset that so many men and women have, and it's wrecking marriages everywhere. Let me just say it plain, right? When you treat marriage like it's fast food, quick, convenient, and disposable, don't be surprised when it leaves you empty. This kind of emotional immaturity is a marriage killer. And it starts way before the wedding vows. Wouldn't you agree? It's a hard problem. It's a hard problem. It's an issue. It's a society problem. It's a cultural problem. It's a ungodly issue. And more than that, well, I would say along with that, it's a mindset problem. It's the opposite of having the mind of Christ. Philippians 2, verse 5 says, "Let this mind be in you, which was also in Christ Jesus." The mind of Christ doesn't show up to marriage wondering if the person is hot enough, right? If the person is fire, if this person is like, you just name it. No, no, no. That's not what the mind of Christ approach does to a relationship because it's the opposite. It's showing us how to serve one another, sacrifice for each other, and commit. That's what it does. Now, and by the way, if this is your first time here and you're wondering who's this guy, I'm Kingsley Grant, a licensed marriage and family therapist, a certified relationship coach, and I've been working with couples or spouses like you for the past 20 years or more. And I have been married since 1985, which means as of this recording, it's almost 40 years. Yes, you heard me right. Imagine that. I just sometimes can't even believe I've been married for that long, or even living for that long, much less married for that long. But it's true. It's real. So I have learned, as you can imagine, a thing or two from both my personal and professional journey. And I would want to invite you to come with me on this journey and join with me to help more people like you um, actually experience what you're experiencing here on this channel. So would you go ahead and hit that subscribe button even right now? And also, while you're at that, just hit that thumbs up button, and I would really appreciate that. So thank you for doing that in advance. Now, let's get back to the show, which I think what you are here for. Now, to show that this dude wasn't ready for marriage, you're going to see an interchange between him and Paige, his new wife, that will have you scratching your head. Well, at least it had me. So I hopefully it's the same for you. So let's watch this.
Last year, me and my ex, we got our names tatted on us, and I never had a chance to get it covered up. And I was like, I got to do it now, so I had to do that.
You heard him, right? What's your thoughts? What's the first thing that came to your mind? Was that a head scratcher like it was for me? I can see I scratched out most of my hair, so I really scratched hard. But let me just say this too. Chris, bro, you got your ex's name covered up right before your wedding. This man, right? This dude is emotionally congested. No room in his heart, no healing in his soul, or at least not yet. And sadly, Paige is left trying to earn love or compete for love from a man who's still tethered to his past, is tied to his past. This is where I believe a number of things is at play. One of those is emotional intelligence and why it matters. Because if you're not over your ex, you're not ready for someone else, period. Would you agree? I would love to hear your thoughts. This dude he's not over his ex. I mean, just before you got married, you're going to cover over a tattoo that have her name, and you're being broken up. Come on. Come on. Ladies, you're not a rehab center for broken men. I want to say that very clearly. You're not a broken, a rehab center. Never see a person, right? On both sides. Never see a spouse as a project that you take on. And may I say to you, dear wife and a wife to be, you are a daughter of the king. That means you don't beg to be loved, you walk in your God given value. Yes, you do. You walk with your head held high, your shoulders back. Know who you are. You are the child of a king. God created you with value, and you're worth a lot because God created you and Jesus died for you. So let me get this real. Chris isn't the only one to hold accountable here. Many times it tends to be in a relationships, especially marriages, that it's a guy, it's a man. Now I know I'm not going to say the man doesn't have a lot to contribute to what the issues are, because sometimes we as guys are not as relationship centric as you are, dear lady. And I get it. But he's not the only one to be held accountable. Ladies, you've got to do your due diligence too. Just because someone checks boxes on paper doesn't mean they're ready for real life, for marriage, for a relationship. They still probably are a mama's boy. They haven't yet cut that string. You need to do your due diligence. I can tell you, if you marry him and he ain't over his ex, he's still a mama's boy, you're gonna have an issue on your hand. But also, guys, let me just say this to you as well. The same is true. Same is true. You got to be also careful about who you choose. Proverbs 14, verse 15 says, the simple believe anything, but the prudent or the wise give thought to their steps. Be the prudent one, be the wise one. Paige saw red flags, as you would imagine, but instead of pausing for whatever reason, I know it's a show. I know they got to get to the end part, but I don't know if I want to be a part of that, numbers game. I don't know if I want to be a part of that, but I guess, I'll get to each their own. But instead of pausing, she pushed forward. Maybe hoping things would work out. But hope is not a strategy. Wisdom is a strategy. Love isn't blind. It sees red flags and walks the other way. I cannot tell you how often I've heard people have said, I saw it. I don't, my gut told me. I felt it, and others told me, but I just didn't want to believe it. It's not that love is blind, it's that you just choose to walk the other way, even though everything points to caution, stop, pause, turn around, whatever else comes up. Now, I want to also say this because this tend to be sometimes where guys find themselves because of the culture and the messaging that's out there. And so this is one is for you guys. If you know deep down that she is not the one, don't fake it. I understand the temptation. I understand the pressure might be there. I understand it how it may appear, but don't marry her for appearances. Don't marry her because you're afraid of disappointing people. Real men, mature men, adult men don't ghost. Real men don't deceive. Real men are honest. You're not weak for walking away. You're wise. You're wise. And it takes great strength, more strength to walk away than to stay. Better to leave a relationship before the wedding than leave your wife emotionally crushed after the honeymoon, like we see here with Paige and with Chris after the honeymoon. You saw that in the opening. That happened right after the night of consummating the relationship. So here's where you kind of know that the die was being cast and that Paige felt a shift in her heart. She knew something was off. See if you can tell. Let's watch this together.
Smile.
I just don't really feel connected. I just wish he was like looking at me a little bit more, but I'm just hoping that this is nerves and that, we can, open up.
Did you catch that? Did you see that? That right there, heartbreaking. Day one or day two of your marriage, and you already feel, I mean, actually, day one, it was day one of her, the day of her marriage, and you already feel invisible. She felt not seen. She felt like he didn't connect with her heart, her being, her soul. She felt that shift. Something happened at that moment. Ladies, again, if you're not married, this is pretty much more for the unmarried who is planning and in that stage of getting ready for marriage. Because sometimes I do premarital counseling, and these are the things I bring up at times in that conversations we're having. So I would say, ladies, let this be a wake up call. If he doesn't value you before the vows, he won't start valuing you after. Stop making excuses for behavior that God never intended you to tolerate. Remember this. The psalm says, "You are fearfully and wonderfully made, not fearfully and hopefully chosen." That is not what God placed upon you. Remember that marriage is, unfortunately, has lost its luster, what it once was, a sacred covenant. It's a something that God designed and have held as a high and still does. It haven't changed. Yes, society and culture and nations may have changed the definition of marriage and inserted something that God didn't intend, but God haven't changed his mind. God is still holding to what he said marriage is. It's not a casual connection. Marriage is a sobering institution, right? One of the phrases I use when I have done marriages, I've said, this is not something to be entered into lightly. I make sure I say that. It's not a hoodie you try on and return if it doesn't fit. That's not what marriage is, but it would seem that way in our society, isn't it? It's a lifelong commitment. Doesn't mean it's perfect. I've been married for 40 years, and I can tell you there are times when we thought we were not going to make it. There are times we've had some serious conflict, some serious come to Jesus moment. We've had those. We've had counseling. We've had pastoral and clinical, professional counseling. We've had those moments. We've had our share, as you can imagine that every marriage does. But it's a lifelong commitment, a covenant between two people and God. It's not meant to be rushed. It's not meant to be trendy. It's not meant for to be filmed for entertainment as we seem to be having here. That's not what marriage is meant to be. And yet it will be counted as a divorce statistics. That's not true statistic or scientific, because these are some things that are kind of created for TV, but unfortunately it's factored in. When you build a marriage on emotions alone, don't be shocked when it collapses under pressure, because it will. It will. It's not going to hold up under pressure. Now, you know what? All of this just proves why embracing the mind of Christ is the fastest and most impactful way to build a lasting, joy filled, fulfilling marriage. Would you agree? Would you disagree? I can tell you, over the last 2 decades, I've not seen anything that comes close to at least giving you a chance, not guaranteed, but a better chance for success than embracing the mind of Christ. Nothing comes close. So, because the mind of Christ says, I see you, I value you, I commit to you, regardless of feelings, fatigue, or frustration. It still says that. So this is not easy. I know it sounds a certain harsh, or maybe it creates some tension, and I get it. It's understood, but somebody's got to call it out. Somebody's got to say it, right? So, but if you're tired of emotional roller coasters in your relationship, I created something for you: the Joyful Marriage Quest, a 6-week evidence based and biblical coaching journey to help you build a marriage that's real, rooted, and resilient. And so, if you're interested in finding out more, I have a link in the description, but it's buildyourhappiermarriage.com/waitlist. And ladies, if you are ready to understand your man better, rekindle love, and build a real emotional connection with your husband, my new book is for you. Yeah, it is. The Joyful Wife: 7 Connection Skills to Better Understand Your Husband, Rekindle Love, and to Deepen Intimacy. It's available on Amazon. You can get your own copy. I encourage you to do that. I would really appreciate you jumping on and getting yours as well. Now, this video might rub some people, maybe you, the wrong way, and that's okay. Truth often does. But if we don't speak truth about marriage, if I don't, if you don't, if somebody don't, culture will keep selling people lies and show things like this, and we make a mockery of marriage and we say all these things, but somebody got to speak up. And hopefully what I did today was just that. And I'd love to hear your thoughts, because I don't want to necessarily just be this person who have on a soapbox. I want to hear your thoughts. So let's get into a conversation. We need a new standard, a biblical one, not new per se, because it's already there. God's standard, a biblical standard. We need to return to that standard, one that's rooted in wisdom, not wishful thinking, in commitment, not convenience, in Christ, not just chemistry. This is what we need, because when Christ is at the center, marriages just don't survive, they thrive. Would you agree? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and hit the subscribe button while you're at it, and the thumbs up. I would really appreciate that. And I would love to hear your thoughts, because again, I love to learn more and see where you stand on this, and what's your thoughts about this show, and also Paige and Chris. Let me hear. And also, this video right here is another one that I've done that I think will be very helpful for you to watch and see, because it was something like that. And you'll see about how when it's built like this kind of marriage, like this one we just watched, there's danger awaiting, right? And I say only that, leave that there. And my friend, may God bless you. May God bless your marriage. May God give you the grace and the peace and the strength and the wisdom to make certain that your relationship is one that reflects how he intended for it to be. God bless you. Watch this video, and I'll see you on the next one. God bless. See you then. Peace out.